If you know how to draft a simple basic bodice pattern, please gather here. I want to show you something. So you see this top and the dress that I am wearing. I used only my basic bodice pattern to make this. Okay, so the dress, the top, only from one pattern, and this video is a 2-for-1 video where I show you how to make the top and also the dress. And for my lovelies that do not know how to draft out a basic bodice, I will do you one short thing. I will put a link on my description box to direct you to a particular video that I have created for beginners. Very instructive and very detailed video on how to draft out a basic bodice for yourself as a beginner. Okay, and that particular video has a dart attached to the basic bodice, but please do not proceed into the dart section. Just stop at where I say this is just a simple basic bodice. And once you have that particular pattern ready, please hurry back to this video. Let's make this top and let's make this dress. Now this is my own pattern here. The first thing we're going to do is adjust the pattern. Now let me show you what I have on my pattern. This is my front pattern. I have my neck measurements. The depth of my neck is 3 inches and the width of my neck is 3 inches. This is a basic bodice, so if you know how to draft a basic bodice, you know 3 inches is like a standard. So this is my armhole, and this here is my bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Also my waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. And the length of my pattern here is 19 inches. So from this point on my pattern, I am going to connect it down to 2 inches below my armhole line. Okay, so we are already on the process of adjusting the pattern. So I'll come down by 2 inches. Now please come down by 2 inches no matter who you are. 2 inches, 2.5 highest. Okay, now from that 2 inches, I'll connect it to that point that I indicated the first time, the point I showed you on the shoulder tip here. I'll connect this. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take out the armhole because we do not need it for this dress. And because this dress that I'm about to show you, this particular pattern making is for beginners, I just want to show you how to adjust your pattern to make anything. This video is going to be detailed. So we're going to cut this out from this point. Okay, so in case you're wondering how many inches remaining there, I think 0.125, just very tiny. We're taking out almost everything from the shoulder, and we're just leaving a little bit like this. Okay, so make sure what you have is what I have here. Now we're going to move on to marking out our slash line. For you that don't know what a slash line is, slash and spread is a pattern making technique that we use in adding volume to our outfit. Okay, this particular technique will help you strategically slash your pattern to create more volume. That's more fullness on your bodice or your skirt, whatever you're using your slash line for. If you want to add more fullness to gather and pleats, you use your slash and spread. So the first thing we're going to do is first slash before we spread. Now for our slash line, we're going to be marking lines like this down, and you guys, the width of your line doesn't really matter, but then I will be using 2 inches as the width, and I'll mark this 2 inches on the neckline. So I'll just mark 2 inches on the neckline. Now later I reduce this to 1.5 because I want to create more fullness, and the only way I can be able to create that more fullness is if I have a lot of slash. Okay, so at this point, it was the point where I realized that I will use 1.5 instead of 2 inches. So this is what I started doing. So your slash line just basically means that just draw a straight line that you're going to label before you slash the paper off, like scatter the paper. Before you scatter your paper to put it back together, you need to create a slash line, and that is going to help you, you know, after you slash the paper, you will just label the paper. You write 1, 2, 3 or ABC, whatever you want to use to label it. You can even write Ada or B Neka. But just make sure you know which one is 1, 2, 3, 4, so that when you're spreading it back, you know what comes first. Okay, so I'm labeling mine. So this is 1, 2, 3, and the last one is 4. So I went up to write 1, 2, 3 again. In case some of you are still confused, the slash line is from top to bottom. Okay, and we're going to take everything out. So this is like a puzzle. Okay, it's like when you're trying to like scatter a puzzle and construct it back or create it back, like put it back together. So that's what we're going to be doing. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to be slashing it totally, but I need to do something first before I take everything apart. Okay, so let's move to the next one, which is the spread. Remember we did slash and spread, like we talked about slash and spread. So now we're on the second, which is the spread. Now to spread this, I have a new pattern paper here. I'll mark 4 inches upwards as a starting line for spreading. Okay, so for everything you do, you need a starting line. As a beginner, listen to my word, you need a starting line for everything you do, where you start from. So everything you see me do, you can make more research by yourself by, checking the meaning and learning it for yourself. Okay, so this is what I needed to do. I needed to calculate what I have on the neckline because I'll be using it to gather my neckline later. So I have 5 inches on the neckline, and that's what I needed to do. So make sure you confirm your neckline, your neck measurement first. Write it somewhere because you use this to gather your fabric later after you've spread it. So now I can take everything apart. Okay, and then we'll do the puzzle by putting it back together. So the first one, of course, has to be 1. So I'll start by spreading my 1. I'll place it like this. I'll use my masking tape to hold it down. At this point, you can use a masking tape, whatever type of tape you have available to you, or you can even use a pin, honey. You can even use glue. What the fuck am I saying? You can use a glue to hold your pattern down to your new fresh pattern. So the starting line is where the length of my top will be sitting. Okay, because we are spreading everything and the neckline isn't equal, but the length is equal. The length 19 is equal, but the neckline isn't equal because it's like a curve on the neckline. So we're using the length to spread. Okay, so after my 1, I'll mark 3 inches before I place my 2. So what I'm actually spreading this by is 3 inches. So after the 1, I'll mark 3 inches between 1 and 2. So this is my 2. And I'll do the same thing for my 3. I'll mark 3 inches before I place my 3. And you can see that I'm taping the length and I'm also taping the neckline. So holding everything down with the masking tape. So I also measure the neckline, making sure that I have 3 inches between the 1 and the 2. Okay, 3 inches apart is what we're spreading by. And if you have never done this before, make sure you take it slowly. Okay, first slash, now we're spreading. I'll mark 3 inches from 2. I'll mark 3 inches here from 2 to the point where I'll place my 3. So what it means again is this is what I'm spreading my pattern by. And you can see that I'm placing it back by numbers. 1 comes before 2, 2 comes before 3, 3 comes before 4, 4 comes before 5, like that, like that. I used to hear people say that spreading is very hard, slash and spread. Oh, honey, this is like the most simplest thing to do when it comes to fashion. Like slash and spread to get fullness is the most easiest thing to do. Trust me, easiest. If you notice, I have a lot of slash and spread on my channel. Like I'm almost always doing it. So I'll also do 3 inches before I place my 4, my number 4. 3 inches. I'll place my number 4, and this is how wide my top is going to be. 3 inches on the neckline and tape down. So once we are done with spreading, we are going to outline the neckline again and just outline the shape of the new pattern that we want to see. Okay, stick with me, watch what I'm doing. So on here, I'm going to create an A line on the length here. I'll mark extra 4 inches to create an A line. So see what I'll do. I'll connect from this point down. So this is for my top to have that A line effect. So please make sure you do this, okay? Make sure you do this part. Add 4, 5, just create an A line at the side of your top. This is the side. So we're going to also outline the new neck. So we're going to be connecting the neck to get the shape of the neck, okay? Now you can do this with your free hand. That's what I'm trying to show you. Just trace. It doesn't need to be clean, it doesn't need to be perfect, just trace. But then if you have a curve ruler, it is actually very, very important to use it. That's if you have it too. But if you don't have it, it's not really important. But I feel like if you use your curve ruler, you're going to get the shape well instead of tracing. So I decided to use my curve ruler and just get the shape directly. Okay, and this is what the shape is going to look like when I use the curve, so you see what I mean. So this is just for you to outline the neckline. Okay, get like a not so perfect curve, but yeah, somehow perfect. So this neckline is our new neckline that we're going to be pleating back to that 5 inches. Remember the 5 inches, which is 10 for both neck, right and left. That 5 inches is what we're going to be pleating on this neckline when we're done. Okay, so I'm just outlining the whole shape of the top because it has to be look like a triangle somehow. This is it, and our cut. Okay, this is just it. This is just the pattern. Finish. We are done with the front pattern. We're just going to quickly create the back, which is like very simple, but we're still going to slash and spread. So if you did a slash and spread for the front, by the time we're doing for the back, you now understand the gist of the slash and spread. So the back is going to be sitting from here down only. So I'll bring my back pattern that is already drafted though, so we can adjust it. So you see my back pattern that is already drafted. So I'll just place it like this with the front new pattern and indicate the points where the back is going to start from. You know, the back is a lower back and we're going to be putting an elastic at the lower back. So you just create something very shallow and something very low, deep, however you want to use it, but something very low. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to outline where, see where my front stop, that is where my back is going to start from, sorry. So you see this part here, this part is where my armhole is, like the armhole stop point, right? But this is the part where my back is going to sit. So my back is going to be sitting from here downwards. I'll just indicate the point with my pen, and now I'll use my ruler to create a straight line before I curve the line because I want it to be shallow, more shallow than this. So I'll first create this line, and then I'll come down from the center back. I'll still come down by 3 inches. So I'll come down by 2 inches. The back does not have to be straight, okay? It's a curve there, and I'm trying to create that curve. So from this point, I'll come down by 2 inches. This is the center back, guys. And from that 2 inches, I'll use my curve ruler to connect it to the point where I'll be joining my front piece, okay? So to the side of my back. And now we have to cut out the excess that we are working with, so we can slash this back to get the fullness that we want, just like we did for the front. Okay, we need the fullness, baby. Actually, this is the back pattern that we're going to be working with. Now all we have to do is create our slash line. So I'm just indicating that this is the side, so I don't mistake, and this is the center back. Sorry, this is the center back. Because when we slash, I might misplace the setting, so it's better for me to label now so I can know what goes to what or what's with what. Now let's slash and spread the back pattern. So this is the back pattern. We're going to be creating the slash line, and I'm using 2 inches apart here. Okay, so this one is 2 inches, the next one is going to be 2 inches. Why I did not calculate is that as a tailor, I already know what 2 inches look like. So I just created my slash line 2 inches apart. Let me show you. I'll use my tape to show you that it is 2 inches, but then label before you cut. Remember, label before you cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is it. Let me show you what I mean. This is 2 inches. You see, I know what 2 inches look like. Okay, 2 inches apart. And we have this pattern labeled. Now we can cut, so we can spread, and we're going to be spreading by the same 3 inches. So grab a fresh pattern paper for the spread. So again, start by indicating your starting line for the spread. Very important. Okay, starting line is where you have to start from. That should be very simple for you to understand. Okay, that is where you're going to start spreading from. Apart from the spreading, anything you're doing, you just need a start line, a starting point. So I'll start by spreading my one. You see what I mean? As when I did not write that side now, I would have put this anyhow, but thank God. So I'm starting with my one, and in case you're wondering why did I leave that allowance at the side before I place my one, because I want to also create an A-line effect at that side. Remember that the side is what I will be joining to my front, so I need that side to have A-line like the front, so that's why I did that. Okay, and then I have my two spreading by, I think, 3 inches apart. Okay, spreading by 3 inches apart. So you see how I am taking my time to spread this, because I want the first timers to watch this video and be like, oh my God, slashing and spreading is the most easiest thing ever. How come I've never done it? I want you to see my video and be inspired to do it. Okay, so what I'm doing here is my pattern paper was not enough because I was too cocky and I was just spreading anyhow, so I had to attach a new pattern paper to it and then spread my last one, which is the 5, and this is it. So of course, you know what we'll do next. We need to align. Okay, we're going to create the A-line shape before we outline the top. So I'll create my A-line. This is too short. I don't know where that short ruler came from. So I'll create my A-line like I did for the front side, which is like, for the front I did 4 inches, for the back I think 3 inches. And then I'll create another small A-line at the center back here. And this A-line, I extended it down longer than the length, and I'll connect it like this. Now, if you look at my top at the back, you'll see that there's a particular shape it has. This is why, okay, because I made the center back a bit longer at the length than the side. And I don't know why I did it. I just did it, girl. I just did it. I was just in the mood to create. So I just did it. I just wanted it to look like a fish tail. I don't know if you get. So now I'll just outline the up part, which is the back waistline, because this is going to be sitting at the waist, not the neck anymore. And then, honey, let's go ahead and cut this out. Charlie, we're done. So you see what I mean by slash and spread is the most easiest thing to do. Very simple rule. Create your slash line, then spread it. And that is it. So this is center back, the new center back. And here is the side, honey. You know why I'm labeling this again? Because I'm taking off the spread. We no longer need the spread anymore. This is a new pattern. The pattern that has the spreading is a new pattern. So let me show what my front and back looks like, okay? So this is my front here. This is my back. And you see what I mean? I'll be joining these two sides together. So this is the center front. And this is the side. I also wrote side again twice, just to make sure you know what is happening. Here we're going to be gathering. So let's start by cutting the fabric for the top. Okay, we're going to cut for the top and cut for the dress. For my top, I use 1.5 yards of fabric, and I use a crepe for this, a crepe fabric, a chiffon-like crepe. It is hard, but then it is still shifty, like it still moves. I went ahead to fold my fabric into 2 because I'm cutting for the front first. And where I have the closed edge is where I'll be putting my center front. And then I'll pin this down to cut. Okay, so while cutting this, I left allowance at the length for hemming. I left like 1 inch. And then on the top, I left very small allowance for gathering and joining. Just it. On the side, I left no allowance anymore because this is already full. We're going to be having something very, very full. So there's no need for sewing allowance again. Okay. So I'll keep this aside to cut for the back. For the back, while cutting my back, I started to fold my fabric into an A-line shape. Okay. You know the A-line that I use in cutting my fleece skirts? That's what I use in cutting this top, the back pattern. Okay. I followed this in A-line because of that effect I wanted at the center back, that fish-like effect. So I did this A-line. Place my pattern. I'll pin this down and then cut, okay? So also leave allowance for when that's on the top of your back pattern for when we are creating a channel for elastic. Okay, I forgot to do that and it somehow affected the top, but then please do not forget to do that. Now, I'm using the fish like effect or the fish tail I want at the center back. So this is my back. See what it looks like. And we're going to start sewing the back first, but let's go ahead and cut the dress. Okay, I told you guys we're doing everything, so we're going to be cutting for the dress. Now what we're going to be doing at the back here is create a channel for elastic, but then let's cut for the dress. Okay, for the people that came here to cut for the dress, let's do that. Now for the dress, fold your fabric into 2 as usual. Now place your front pattern just the same way you place it for the top. But what you're going to do now is you're going to leave the length to be longer. Now the length I use for my dress is 60 freaking inches. So you see that I placed it like I want to cut the top, but then I left longer length. You see how long the length is? Okay, so that does the difference. Just make sure that the length for your dress is longer to the point where you want it to stop. Okay, and now this is my back. I already folded the fabric also into 2 and I placed. Now you see how I aligned this, making sure that the length for the front and the back is equal, and then the back stops at where it is supposed to sit on the front. You see, I had to align it like this first and then make sure that everything is sitting equal. So make sure you do the same thing. It won't take you any much time to make sure that everything sits when it's where it is supposed to sit. Okay, and that A-line effect that I had on the back, for the center back of my back, I didn't use it anymore. You can see that the pattern is coming out. I make sure that I have like a straight cord at the back, okay, at the center back. So we're going to do the same thing we're doing on the top for the dress. And let's sew. So the first thing we're going to do is create that channel that I talked about, the channel for elastic. Now the elastic I use is a 1/2 inch elastic. So the channel that I'm creating is a 1/2 inch channel that is going to pass, or that is going to allow my elastic to pass through. So you see the thing I'm doing right now on the back top piece. Do the same thing for your dress. The back dress piece, create a channel for elastic on your back dress piece. So now we're going to pass the elastic through that channel. For me, I took out 4 inches from my round waist divided by 2. So after dividing my round waist by 2, I got 15 inches. At first, I wanted to use that 15 inches, but I just realized that the back is supposed to be tight because it's elastic. So what I went ahead to do is take out 1 inch first, but that wasn't possible. I had to take out 3 more inches to make it 4 for my elastic. So the elastic I was working with, after taking out 4 inches, is 11 inches elastic for my back. So do the math. So I'll pin this down so I can work on the next thing, which is the joining this to the front. So now we're going to be joining the back to the front. So remember where the front is supposed to sit and where the back is supposed to sit on the front. That spot that looks like an armhole point. So place your back to that point and then sew. Now I'm going to be sewing by 0.7 inch down to the length of my top, because we're going to be hemming the front, that armhole side. We're going to be hemming it in, and we're going to be using the allowance we use for just joining this back. Okay, you guys will understand when we get there. I didn't realize that my camera was blurry when I was doing this, so that was really not nice. I'm so sorry. Well, I'm still doing the same thing, joining my front and my back piece together, and I'm sewing by 0.75. So this is what it looks like. Make sure you're doing this. If you're doing the dress, do the same thing I just did for the top. It's the same, but just that your dress is with longer length. So now that 0.75 that I use in joining the back, I have that allowance now available for me to use it to sew in my armhole, and I'll show you. So you see it's here. I can now fold this twice and hem the armhole. Okay, and my camera went out of focus here also. I'm so sorry, but then if you're not comfortable doing this, you can go ahead and use bias to close that part first, and after using the bias, you can now go ahead to join your back. But then just do this one. It's very simple. That's 0.75 allowance. Fold it twice, tiny, and then sew this And trust me, your armhole side on your top, that's your front, will be closed. And now we move into gathering the front neckline. So to do this, I am going to be adjusting my ML sewing machine to 5, which is to sew a loose stitch. And on the neckline on the front, I'll sew a loose stitch that will help me gather the neck. If you're making a dress with this, do the same thing, okay? Make sure you're doing the same thing I'm doing for the top. It's the same, just longer length. I don't want to keep saying this, honey. Now remember that on the pattern paper, I calculated the neckline and it was 5 inches. So what I'm going to gather my front neckline to is that 5 inches, which is 10 for both sides of the neck. So I'll make sure that this particular space here on the neckline is either 10 or 9, something close to 10 inches or 9 or 9.5. So make sure you refer back to when you were about to slash your pattern, that neckline measurement. So I got 9 is okay. So I'll go ahead and cut out a band for the neck. And for those that be wondering, Vivian, how long should my band be, or how wide should it be? Just make sure you use your tape to place on your neck and find out what is going to go around your neck and still have allowance for it to drop at your back. For the top, I used 28-30, and for the dress, I use 90 inches as the width of my band. You can see that the back drops more than the front, but then anyways, make sure you just tie it on your neck to find out what is comfortable, then use it. Now the band length is 5 inches. So when I put it into 2 and sew ½ inch, I have 2 inches of band, just like when we try to attach band on the waist. Okay, so I'm showing you that I actually joined 2 fabric together because this particular red fabric was done, it was finishing already, so I had like scraps. I had to join 2 fabric for the neck, so I'm pinning that particular joining together. That's now my automatically middle point, and from that middle point now I'll mark 4.5 inch to the left and 4.5 inch to the right, because 9 inches is what I have on my neckline on the top. Even on my dress, I have 9 inches, and I'm doing the same thing that I am doing on my top on the dress, which is marking 4.5 to the left and 4.5 to the right from a middle point, the band middle point. So for the rest of the space, I'll sew that in, leaving that middle point open, that middle point and the 9 inches in between it open. I'll sew the rest in, the rest of the space. Like I said, what I'm doing here is exactly what I'm doing for my dress. So now I have this opening on the middle of my band, and I'll pass my fabric through it to the right side. So that opening is where I'll be bringing out this whole band from, so that we can see what the right side looks like. Now take note that the middle point is where we're going to be placing the neckline in and sewing, okay? And once we are done sewing the neckline in between the band, we can tie this on our neck, and then we'll have same fabric on the right and same fabric on the left. So after pressing this, making sure that everywhere is flat, everything is flat, now see the middle point. I fold in the fabric in that middle point. See, I folded in that fabric for joining, which is ½ inch. And now I'm going to look for the middle point on my top. Fold the neckline into 2, use your chalk and indicate a middle point also, because we have to distribute this equally, okay? On the left and on the right, we need to have the same amount of fabric. So to the left, I need to have 4.5, to the right, I need to have 4.5. So I'm indicating this with my chalk, and now I'll place the middle point on the top to the middle point on my band, distributing equally. That's what we're doing, giving every part its share. So the middle point of my band will sit with the middle point of my top, and I place the top in between the band fabric. Where would it not sew in? That's the band. That opening is where I place the top. Now if you have a pin as a beginner, please pin this before you start sewing. But me, like a professional, I'm not a professional, but me forming like a professional, I just started sewing, okay? And I started to sew this showing you with the dress, because what I did on the dress is what I did on the top. But like I said, the dress just have a longer length, and that's it. Like, this dress is very simple. The top, I made the both of them the same time. They both. Oh my freaking god, you guys, this is it. This is how I created my top and my dress. Please let me know in the comment section if you find this particular video easy, detailed. If there's any quick misunderstanding, let me know, and I will help you trash the issue out. Okay, I'll help you, find out where you're having issue with, so you can overcome it, or you can pass it and get to the next stage. Okay, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. I really love you for staying to the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, creative minds, I'll be seeing you on the next video. Bye. Mwah.